Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll be showing you guys how to do a full sew-in with bundles from Eayonhair. Inside the package, I received 3 bundles that I'll be installing, 24, 22, and 20-inch bundles with a tail comb. This is what the bundles look like straight out the package. As you guys can see, it's full all the way to the end and it's super shiny and soft. I already did the full braid down for my client's install. If you guys would like to see how I do the braid down, I have multiple videos on my channel showing you guys how to do it. I left a little bit of the sides out just so that I can style my client's edges once the install is finished. Now I'm just going in with my Eayon oil and placing it on my client's scalp so that her scalp can be moisturized before I sew in the bundles. The first bundle that I sew in is the 24-inch bundle, which is the longest bundle. I double the wefts, so I use the 2 ends and place it together on my client's braid so that it can be sewn together. To place the 2 ends together, I make sure that the needle goes between both tracks so that it can stay together while I continue sewing. After I sew them together, I make a knot before I continue sewing to secure the tracks. Once I continue sewing the tracks in, I don't always go between both tracks. I just put the needle in between the lower track so that the track is secured. As you guys can see, once the needle is between the bottom track, it doesn't need to go between the top track because the bottom track is already holding up the top track. Once I come to the end of my client's braids, I always sew through the tracks again, both tracks, and I make a knot so that the track is secured, and when I flip it, it doesn't move. Once I flip the track and it is secured so that it doesn't look bulky when it's flipped, I then proceed to sew in just the bottom track again. Also, whenever I'm starting a new thread or ending it, I be sure to make a knot so that everything is secured. I'm coming to the end of one track, so you guys will be able to see how much the 24-inch takes up in my client's head. Now I'm moving on to the 22-inch bundle. Once I'm finished sewing in one bundle of hair for my client's sewing, I then move on to the front of their head. Now I'm just sewing a track on the first braid of the install. I do this so that when the sewing is fully completed and everything is flat ironed, When my client's leave out is flat ironed, it'll have some place to lay the leave out on. So the average leave out is shorter than the bundles that you'll be installing. So this way, your leave out will have some bundles to lay on so that it can blend perfectly and you won't be able to see where your client's leave outs stop. Also, for this track, I make a knot on every stitch that I make because this braid will have a whole bunch of tracks on it already. Now I'm just using the single track and covering the perimeter of my client's head. Once I get to the corner of my client's install, I'm going to start to double the tracks again. Instead of cutting the track out, I just take the end of that same track I'm sewing and place it together with the end of this sewing. Now that I've gotten to the end of my client's braids, again, I'm just going to cut this track and use that same piece to sew on the other side of the first braid. This is how the install looks so far. This is almost 2 bundles of hair sewn into my client's head. Now I'm just going to repeat the same steps that I did on the other side with the first braid. Now the rest of the install is basically just going back and forth on each side of your client's head. When I get to the ending of this track, I'll be showing you guys how I flip the track. So when I'm coming to the point where I'm sewing on the first braid, I always bring the track up a little bit diagonally so that when I bend it back, it'll be folded flat. I also do this so that the front of the install will have a fuller look. I don't want to add too much tracks because this will make the install look bulky. Now I'm sewing in the last bundle of the install. This is a 20-inch body wave bundle. I'm just going to continue doing the same steps, going back and forth with the tracks. Now I'm sewing the last track of the install. I try to get as close to the top of the braid as possible so that when the leave out is flat ironed, no braids are shown. Once I finish sewing the track, I then go back on that same track so that it's secured. This is what the install looks like after all 3 bundles are sewn in. I did use all 24, 22, and 20-inch body wave bundles. My client wants a middle part bone straight, so now I'm going to show you guys how straight these bundles can get. This is how one side of the insole looks completely straightened. Now I'm just going to style my client's edges. The products that I'll be using is got to be my small flat iron, and I'll be using a blow dryer to let the edges dry. Before placing any heat on my client's sleeve out, I did apply some heat protectant before running the flat iron through her hair. This is the final look of the install. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and continue watching for more clips of the finished look.